you've got your comfort zone, and then you've got this area just sort of outside it that's your uncomfortable zone, right? And I think you have to be okay in times of fear. If you really want to overcome something, or if something is really limiting you, you have to get into that uncomfortable zone. And I think there's a physical way that that manifests, and a sort of emotional or verbal, mental way that that manifests. And I think that the physical way of doing it is really just sort of getting started in certain forms, right? And it's, you think about it, people who have fears of snakes and spiders and things like that, they sort of like see one in the same room, and then they get comfortable with that for a month, and then they kind of gradually progress down that phase. You know, say if you're scared about getting on digital mediums and getting on camera and doing this sort of stuff, record yourself, watch yourself, delete the video, and be your own critique, but get comfortable with doing that. Make the uncomfortable comfortable. And in situations where that doesn't manifest physically, I think that then it's a conversation. It's having those uncomfortable conversations. One of the best leaders that I had ever worked for had a rule on his team, and he called it clearing exercises. And the idea is that between any number of people, whether it be two people in a sort of a one-on-one type forum or a group of people, we would consciously call out that this is a clearing exercise. We are going to put dirty, nasty things on the table. But by putting all of this bacteria and this virus that is tension on the table, the light would shine on it and it would kill the bacteria. Light has a beautiful way of doing that, and sun has a beautiful way of doing that, and cleared out and handled with. And at the very least, you know, everything is out on the table. And even if that conversation means you doing it yourself and writing down all your faults on a book and sitting there and talking to your significant other or your family member or somebody to hold you accountable, it's getting into that uncomfortable zone. And then once you're in that place, you're in a place where you can handle the fear because you're sort of in parallel with it as opposed to underneath it. At least that's the way I've approached it.
That uncomfortableness stops so many people from growing. And one of the truth about being uncomfortable is that's how you grow. That's how you develop. And awesome for you to point that out. That's an uncommon truth. It's like, I don't want to do that because it makes me feel uncomfortable. No, you got to do that because that's how you're going to grow. You're going to grow in that areas in exponentially when you do that. You've got to do that. Absolutely. Just a quick story on that. I can remember I was in university and I was petrified of public speaking, and I had to do a 5-minute little public speaking class during this communication things to pass, right? And I did it on the golf swing, and Heath can attest that I'm a fantastic golfer. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But I didn't sleep for 3 days before, and before the 5-minute talk on how to swing a golf club, I threw up before I went into the class to do my 5 minutes. I blanked out, did my 5 minutes, and passed the course. But 4 years later, I was speaking in front of groups of 700 to 1,500 people on stage for doing keynote speeches. So yeah, by the time I was 25, because I knew that was a huge fear that if to do what I needed to do, that had to be overcome. And so, but boy, talk about uncomfortable.
Yeah.